Hi there, Wilson with Lofty here. I am a enterprise customer success manager with Lofty. Work with EXP closely. I have John Heckel here, one of our senior onboarding specialists, fantastic within our product, and he's going to be going through some lead pipeline management today with EXP agents. We've been meeting with you guys a couple days a week since the CRM of choice has rolled out. A couple days ago, kind of did more of a why choose Lofty, more demo related sales positioning type of call. And today we'll be getting more into the product itself, doing more specific feature training. Like I said, this will be more of a lead pipeline management training with John. So we'll be going through that. If you're joining us via EXP World, YouTube, we will be looking for comments, questions that are coming in that way. So we'll plan on getting you guys set up that way and answering what we can through those options. So
Thanks, Wilson. Hey, my name is John Heckel. I'm going to be taking us through the lead pipeline, lead management, and activities training today, guys. It's great to be here. I'm just going to be sharing my screen. This is an example Lofty account. Now, whenever you guys come on board with EXP, if you already are, you'll have a little bit of different things here and there. For instance, different EXP logo up here at the top left. But everything else, think of it as largely the same. So this will be a great hands-on experience going through the platform. The first thing that happens, guys, or let me sort of set the scene of what we're going to be talking about agenda-wise. Within any CRM, something that we need to keep track of is how we're organizing all of our leads, right? How am I keeping tabs? How am I separating people out? The digital filing cabinet, as it were. Where are all my people at, and how do I get to them? How do I find them? Then once I've found them, how do I move them efficiently into different sections, right? What does that process look like? Managing the pipelines, managing the settings, and then conversely, whenever people come in, how do I make sure they're getting to the right place? How do I make sure I'm getting them to the right section to start off with? So we're going to start off by talking about all the different ways in which we can organize leads, right? Then going into, okay, whenever somebody comes in, from what avenues will they come in? How do I make sure that they get to the right spot, right? As well as now, okay, they're in the system, they're in a given section of my organization or organizational system, and now how do I move them through the process? So that's what we're going to be talking about today. Starting off, anytime you log into Lofty, you're going to be seeing this dashboard, right? Showing you new leads, opportunities, tasks. As you scroll through this dashboard, it's got lots of really great information. But what we're going to be doing is hitting on our people tab and our marketing tab today. So people and marketing. And really, that's the two sections that I point agents to most often whenever they come into the platform, because getting to your people is going to be the most important thing to you. And then using all of our fun tools in this marketing section will allow you to get more people into your system and nurture the people you already have. So these are two tabs that I would focus on at the beginning more so than, keeping it down the line. Let's go ahead and click on our people tab here. So this is an example of an account that's got a lot of leads already within it, right? Right now we've got 6,700 leads of varying, of varying information. Some of them first name, some of them last name. This is what a lot of times an account that's been with Lofty for 6 months, 8 months, a year will look like. No worries if you're just starting off, right? But this is sort of a glimpse into the future. Now let's talk about Lofty's three biggest ways to organize your leads, the three biggest sections. The first one is going to be segments. Now, you're not seeing segments anywhere on this screen. Whenever we highlight the people tab, that's where we're going to see this segments drop down, okay? Think of segments as the biggest bucket, the biggest organizational system. Now, across this middle section here, where we see all leads, company leads, my leads, lead pond, all of this, right? That's going to be our views. Think of that as sort of the middle ground. A lot of times I describe this as a dashboard almost, a live updating dashboard. Now, this bottom section here, that's our pipeline stages. Now, everybody's familiar with the term pipeline. Pipeline stages are common, so it doesn't need a whole lot of description there. But we're going to talk about how all of these things relate together and things about Lofty you should know when it comes to those three. So we're going to start off with segments, okay? So we highlight people, we go over here to segments. Segments allow you to say, hey, I want to put this group in a separate section of my CRM. Now, there's some things that within Lofty, of course, I would name differently. I'm sure everybody feels that way with whatever system they're working in. But segments, I think, is perfectly named because we're not removing it from the group, we're segmenting the group. Now, all of the people that are within my past clients segment here, these 217 leads, they'll also show up in the pool of all of my people over here, right? So this isn't putting somebody in a completely separate situation, but it is giving them their own home. Now, segments are great. One of the many reasons why they're great is we've got our own little segment dashboard where I can see visually all of them laid out. Now, once I click into one of my segments, for instance, this past client segment, I'm going to be able to see all the leads within this segment listed out here. I can filter just these leads. I can also come over here into automation and apply mass emails, smart plans, which is the lofty term for automatic drip campaigns and other automations. I can send postcards, letters, set reminders for myself right here in this automation section. And again, that's a way for me to work on all my past clients separate from the rest of the group. Now, if I come over here into performance, this performance section is one of the unique things about our segment feature as opposed to the rest of the platform, right? There's lots of ways to organize your leads and people will choose to use one feature more than others. But segments, the thing about segments that will always be important is I can see everybody within this segment, all of their website activity here in this graph. And if I scroll down further, I can see their individual activities on my Lofty website for this group and this group only, which is fantastic, right? I can go in here and say, okay, my past clients are spending a lot of time on this page. Maybe people are trying to get a hold of me. I can see who specifically is doing what, right? And then I've got this really handy graph right here. So a segment allows you to see all of that. Now, what's a common example of a segment? We've got a few up here: recruiting, past clients, referrals. Think of a segment as a group of people or a portion of your business that you're going to want to keep sort of in a corner where I can go and find it easily and I can interact with them potentially differently than I would the rest of my leads. People use segments a lot. People don't use segments at all. It's really a great way to really personalize your Lofty experience to decide, maybe after today, even being on this call, which one you're going to focus on more. The benefit, again, of segments is we've got our own segment list here. We can do our own automations dashboard, see all that, and then all of our website activity as well. So that's segments. Now let's come back over into our people tab. Within our people tab now, we've got our views here across the middle section. Our views. Views are fantastic because they're constantly updating dashboards. Think of it like that. Now, if I wanted to see everybody, whenever I log into my CRM in the morning, I want to see everybody who has been to the website in the past 30 days, right? And I have not emailed and they're a buyer, right? That would be a great example of a Lofty view. I can stack those things on top of each other, create a view, name it what I want to name it, and put it right here on this top section. Now, how am I going to do that? I'm just going to stack those filters on top of each other, and then we've got this big blue create view button down here. So I can do exactly that. I can come in here and say website activity or last website visit and say, all right, let's say they've never visited my website. Okay, now we just cut down our leads from 6,700 to 4,800. Now let's say that they have a lead type, and this is where we can use our filter section to stack these on types on top of each other. So I'll say lead type, and actually I think that that's a perfect example of, if we come over here and just type in this like that, there we go. We'll say lead type equals to, let's say, sellers. Okay, so now I'm down to 1,600 leads, and I can continually stack those on top of each other. And guys, here's where I'm seeing that number drop. I can continually stack those on top of each other, right, and get my number lower and lower to the right amount of people I want to be seeing in this view. But we won't go any further than that. We'll just come down here and say create view, and we'll say sellers never website, right? Sellers never web. Something like that. And then I can click confirm, and now it's going to show up here across my views section right there, right? Now, every time I log in, I can use this to have a dashboard of all my sellers who have never been to the website. Now, why would that be important? Why would I want that? Is whenever I come in, I click on that view, I see my 1600 leads. I can peruse through, see who's new to this view. I can select all of the leads in this view and send them all outreach, add them all to a drip campaign under this more section, right? I can come down here and do a smart plan. It's just allowing you to grab that group and do stuff with that group that you wouldn't otherwise be able to do. All right, so,
Hey,
and that's
John.
it. Yeah, jump
Sorry,
in there,
do you
Will.
mind? Do you mind if I jump in for a quick question? Had a question from Carly in the XP world. She says, if your clients
Yeah.
are on listing, alerts, will the listing disappear once it goes under contract, like it does in KV Core, or can they see it still showing that it's under agreement?
That's a good question. To be honest, off the top of my head, I'm not 100% sure of when it disappears. And my instinct would be to say that it also would disappear after it goes under contract, similar to what was described in KV Core. Well, we can definitely check in on that to make 100% sure, but whenever they're exactly to your question, it should disappear. I would have to double check.
Perfect. And I took a note of that question too, Carly. I can get your email, your info, make sure we get you 100% correct answer on it. But thank you, John.
Yeah.
I think, yeah, I think everything else is good. You can just jump back in. I think the other questions I'm good on. So
Perfect. Yeah, jump
thank
in
you.
whenever. Yeah. Thanks, guys. Just continue to throw those questions in the chat, whether it be on what we're talking about or something else. And Wilson will jump in if he can't answer it in the chat, and we can talk through it there. Great question as well. Now, moving along, that's our views. So we've covered segments, we've covered views. Now, across this middle section, we've got our pipelines. Our pipelines are great because they move with us as we move through the rest of the platform. So let's say that I'm in my seller's Never Web view here now. So I click on that. Now I'm down from my 6,700 leads down to my 1,600. You'll notice that the numbers that you see here in the pipelines also change, right? I've got 365 people in nurture whenever I'm in this view. But if I click on all leads, it's going to jump way back up to 2,700, right? So that's really the great thing that I really appreciate about our pipeline section, moving with you, is I can always say, okay, from the filters that I'm using right now, from the view that I'm in, from the segment that I'm in, how many of these people are in which pipeline? Whenever I go through here, I can click on each individual pipeline, like say hot, and jump over here and say, okay, all right, these are all of my hot leads. I can select all, grab all of those leads, and mass email, mass text, send to my dialer. Come over here into more, send postcards, letters, send them a link to my app, assign them, push them out onto a different smart plan. So again, the benefit of what we're talking about, organizing your leads, is being able to get to those leads quickly and then reach out to them or reorganize them. Okay, so pipelines are fantastic. Something to be aware of with pipelines is one lead has to be in one pipeline. So it's a one-to-one relationship, right? And what I mean by that is Ellie here, this lead, can only be in one pipeline. She can be in multiple segments. She will probably be in multiple views, right? But pipelines are going to be a one-to-one. That is a quick breakdown, guys, of segments, views, pipelines. Now, let's talk about once we click into a lead, let's click into this lead right here. And this is what the Lofty lead profile looks like, okay? We're gonna go pretty much top to bottom, review all the different parts of this lead profile so you know what's within here. Then we're gonna go from there into, all right, how do I make sure once a lead comes into Lofty, I'm getting it to the right segment, view, pipeline from there, okay? So once we click into a lead, up here at the top left-hand corner, we're going to have their name. We're going to have whether they're a buyer, a seller, both. Any of their lead types are going to be listed out there. Now you'll see our pipeline listed here and our segments listed there. So I can come down here. I can say, hey, go ahead and add this person to this segment, and that segment, right? Select multiple. But whenever I go over to my pipelines, I have to select one. So I can move them from my hot to my nurture, whatever I need to do. Now you'll notice whenever I come over here into this middle section, this is our activities. And all of those actions I just did are now listed as actions that were taken. I have, my name here is Michael. I have edited their profile details. If we go in here to view details, added segment recruiting, right? Added segment referrals. This is where everything about our interaction with the lead will be documented. So you're not going to lose anything. And you can always filter, of course, but keeping it on all is a great way for you to say, all right, show me everything about this lead. Now, this is where we can call, text, and email the lead. You'll notice that this one right now doesn't have a phone number. That's why those are grayed out. Now, if we come up here, we also have an ability to share a lead. So let's say that I've got multiple people within my EXP instance within Lofty. There's no more needing to like describe or be like, it starts with a Q, you know what I mean, to try and get somebody to find a lead. You can always just share the link and send it to them if they're logged into Lofty and they're part of your organization. They can see this lead based on their permissions. They'll be able to click on that link and it'll take them directly to it. Another great way to communicate with people about a lead is to use this note function, okay? So over here in our activities tab, let's say that I want Brandon to send an email to this lead. I would come in here and I would go at Brandon, please contact this lead. And guess what? Brandon's going to get a notification and they're going to be able to come in here and go and work on the lead, right? That's one way to do it. Notes are fantastic because they can, I feel like I'm using the word fantastic quite a bit, guys, but I am, these are some of my favorite features of Lofty. Notes are great because they're also searchable. So let's say that also something I need to know about this person is they have a boat, right? I can go in here and say, this lead has a boat and add note, right? And that's something I might want to know. I might want to get them properties by the water. Now, say 2-3 weeks goes by, and now I don't remember who has a boat anymore. I can always go over here and search and say boat, right? And then I can switch my search over from people to note, and there we are, right? There's the lead. So notes are fantastic for communicating with other team members and for notating things that you want to remember because you can search them. Now up here at the top left, to keep on going through the lead profile section, if I click on the share button, again, I can share that link. I can also change the restrictions on the link that I'm sharing out, and you can also add users with access. Now, this 3 dots is the classic, like, hey, I can't find it. I don't know where it's at, but I know it's somewhere. That's whenever you'd hover over these 3 dots to see all of your available options. Lots of great stuff in there. Now, let's say that in this situation where I want Brandon to contact the lead, I can always just add a note, and that way they get pinged, they get a notification. But if I scroll down here to the left-hand side, I can also add a task. A task in Lofty would show up, if we go back whenever we first log in our little task bubble right here. Tasks are a great way to make sure that you're keeping up with your activities within Lofty. If you sync your calendar, all of your tasks will then also sync to your Google Calendar or to your Outlook calendar. So you'll see them that way. You can turn that on and off. You can also have automatic task creation within our smart plans. But back to our example, and to get to our lead, I'll go ahead and search boat, and I'll go over here into notes. And now we're right back. So whenever I want Brandon to do something, and you know what, this is super important. He needs to email them. He needs to email them by Friday. I can create a task that then will always show up on his dashboard until he marks it complete. I just go down here into tasks. I do add a task, and I can assign that task to somebody else within my organization. Now I can describe the task, say, hey, the task is an email, it's a call, it's a text, it's other. I can set the date for that task. I can say, hey, have it happen at a specific time and remind the person by text message, by or no reminder, whatever I want. I can do that at due date time, 5 minutes before, an hour before. Lots of options here, guys, and it's a great feature of the lead profile page. Now scrolling down, we also have here our insight and lead score section, which is a great way to organize leads. If we click on analysis here, our lead score is a way for Lofty to measure the quality of the lead as you're just naturally moving through your processes. So this lead is a buyer. So the things that go into their lead score are their close price, their time frame, their contact validity, their communication, and their web activity. As those things increase or decrease, the score will go up and down. Now, for instance, a lot of people will have a view where they've got their dashboard say, hey, people who have gone to my website within the past week who have a lead score of above 70. Make sure I've got a dashboard of those people. Okay. Now, if we go in here to web activities, we can also see, okay, they've been to the website one time and they've searched. And then communications, this would be all of the times I've called, emailed, texted them, and if they've responded, if they've read the email, etc. So that's our lead analysis page, otherwise known as lead score. Okay. I think that this is freezing up on me. My computer's freezing up on me a little bit. Wilson, do you have a question?
Yeah, I was just going to ask you a quick one. This came in from Tracy. Can you pin a note to the top of the activity feed for the lead?
You sure can. I can show that in just a second. But yes, we do have that functionality. Whenever you go in and add the note, you can also come in and let me go ahead and stop sharing my screen, see if I can get this to my computer to be more responsive here. But whenever you initially put in that note, then it'll have a little pin icon. We can click that pin icon. It'll always stay at the top. It's a great way to keep important information right at the top of the lead.
Definitely. Thank you, John.
Yeah. Any other questions that we want to go through?
Sorry, I was just looking to see if there's anything else I could ask you. Some of these I'm just responding to directly in the chat.
Yeah, no worries.
Yeah, I think we're okay. You can keep going.
Okay, sounds good. I think my computer is having a little bit of trouble with the stream, so give me 1 second.
Do you know, actually, John, you may be able to help me with this question. This came in just barely from Julia. Can I use my own? I had a question earlier about phone number and that she says, can you use my phone number when I send texts and call clients? I had mentioned just like the virtual number option, but
Yeah, good question. Yeah, definitely. I can go ahead and looks like my screen's being a little bit, my computer's picking it back up here, which is great. Yeah, that's a really good question. So within Lofty, we do have a virtual number that you'll be able to use. Now, there's a couple different wrinkles with that, and I'll go ahead and show you the settings that are applicable. Let me go ahead and jump over here into my personal settings. And this is departing a little bit from the agenda, but I think it's a good question worth covering quickly.
yeah, definitely.
So within our settings under personal and context, this is where we can control the way in which we're interacting with leads via that virtual number. So for instance, here I can say, hey, whenever I make a call, do I want the call to then be pushed through my cell phone? That allows me to not need a headset. And I can actually, whenever I click call, it'll go through my cell. Another thing is we can have incoming phone calls be forwarded to your cell phone right here. We can also have, whenever you make a call, we can have it show as coming from your cell phone. There is a little bit of an extra step there of verifying. If we click add new number, we'll need to verify that number, right? So it's a little bit of an extra step, but you're going to have a virtual number within Lofty that's really easy to use. You can also customize the settings that we're looking at here to have people see your cell phone number whenever you're calling them through Lofty, and additionally have your cell phone number be the device that actually makes the call as well. For text messages, it's a little bit more stringent. The US government is just cracking down more on spam texting, which I think we all can appreciate. So whenever you're sending text through Lofty, that will always show up as the virtual number that you have through our system. However, also, let's say you've got a virtual number right now that you use. In most cases, we'll be able to port that into the system so you won't need to change. Hope that answers your question. Yeah.
Thank you, John. There was one follow-up question on that. Is there a cost associated with the virtual number? And is it shared with other agents? I believe it's agent by agent, correct?
Yeah. So think about it like this. If I'm in my own personal environment, so like per environment, gets a phone number included with the Lofty system. So say I've got my own Lofty account as part of EXP, but it's just my account, like I'm not in a team with 10 or 15 other EXP agents, then yes, it would be personal to you. But let's say I'm in a team of 10 people and we're all collaborating within Lofty. There would be one phone number, what's called the office phone number, that everybody would use for outbound. But whenever people respond to the office number, it would get forwarded to the correct agent. It is an upgrade then in that circumstance to have your own personal virtual number.
Perfect.
Yeah, good questions.
Thank you.
Awesome. Well, now I think we can keep on rocking and rolling, guys. Sorry about that quick freeze there. Let me go ahead and pull this back up. We were talking through our tasks, and then we went through our lead score over here on this left-hand side. I'm covering all of this as a way for you guys to see the lead profile. And then also something like lead score is a great thing to put a pin in for whenever we're talking about how to make sure leads are getting to the right spots of our segments, of our views, of our pipelines. Okay. Now I'm just going to glaze over a few other things that maybe you want to investigate more in Lofty. This is our engagement section where we can add property alerts, market snapshots, market reports. Our smart plan section, this will be all of our different drip campaigns and automations, and then our transactions and docs section of the individual lead. The last thing that I'm covering last, it's fresh in your mind, is this details section over here on the left-hand side, specifically the source and the tag. Sources and tags are really the key way within Lofty that we can find a lead right at the beginning. Whenever a lead comes in via the website, guess what? It's going to have a source of website. So if you want to organize your website leads differently than everything else, we're going to set up automations that grab everything with that source and put it in the right spot. Same thing with tags. Tags are a great way to allow you to filter a lead later. So if we want to, every time somebody signs up through a landing page, they get a certain tag. That way we can organize them later. We want to find the tag section, right? And make sure that tag is being applied. So source and tag is two things that are really important to make sure your leads in Lofty are getting to the right spots. Okay. So let's go ahead, and now we've covered the different options for organizing leads. Now let's cover whenever a lead comes into the system, how are they coming in and how are we making sure they're getting to the right spot? Okay, so we're going to go into our marketing section, and we can go over here into our smart plans. Okay, our smart plans is really the feature that makes Lofty Lofty. A lot of CRMs or a lot of products will separate out internal automations from external. What I mean by that is like drip campaigns versus like internally moving leads automatically. Our smart plans is a center for both of those. Makes it easy to, it's sort of one large dashboard. Now, in my example here, we're just going to do a standard plan to show you what a smart plan is and how it applies to organizing our leads. So to start off in our settings, we're always going to name our plan so we can find it later. Then we're going to say, okay, what kinds of leads is this plan going to apply to? But more importantly for today, we're going to talk about our triggers and our actions, So let's imagine a circumstance where every time a lead comes in through our website, you know what? We want them to be put in a specific segment, right? We want them to be put in a specific segment. And more than that, we want them also to be put in a specific pipeline. As soon as they come in, I want them automatically there. I don't want to have to go in and manually be like, okay, where does this one belong? We're going to say, okay, we need a automation, a smart plan in order to do that. Our triggers are if thises, and then our actions are then that's, right? So we got to start with our if this, which would be a lead comes in through the website. So we're going to say, all right, lead is created. And now we can say a lead is created with a source. Remember our source from our lead profile with a source is, and then we can select Avena website. Perfect. Okay, so then we're going to click save. Now, as soon as a lead is created with that Avena website, we're going to automatically apply this smart plan to this lead. Now let's determine what we want that action to be. We're going to come over here into actions. Now, it's easy to get overwhelmed with all the different triggers, all the different actions. For today in this example, it's pretty simple, right? We've got our lead created with the source of website. Now let's come down here and we can do change pipeline and change segment as our action. So we'll say change segment, immediately, automatically add them to the segment of, and let's say we're going to automatically add them to our state fair segment, right? It could be anything, right? Any segment that we want. Now let's add another step. Let's say, all right, immediately as well, as soon as this happens, go ahead and add them to a pipeline. Let's change their pipeline to hot. Okay. Now you see how this is super powerful. Whenever, and also with our other triggers, we can list out a bunch of different things. For instance, if they come in with a certain tag, if they come in having saved a listing, then we can put them in whatever section we want to start out with. Wilson, do we have a question?
Yeah, just kind of on the topic. I know you're going through some of the smart plan stuff. I had Reza ask, does Lofty have a newsletter option to blast email and shows what percentage opened that email, what percentage clicked on the link, et cetera? Just kind of some of the metrics around, using smart plans for like blasting. So
Yeah, definitely. A lot of people use smart plans for newsletters. A great way to do that is to build a email template within Lofty that would be like, hey, I know our newsletter is always going to look somewhat similar to this. You can have variables in there like include lead first name, include lead last name, include leads most recently viewed listing, etc. But building out a newsletter template is very common. And then creating a smart plan that says, okay, the first step is going to be this newsletter, then that one. You can go in and edit those smart plans. So very common to use smart plans for newsletters. We don't have one templated specifically for newsletters for those blasts, but very simple to create that template and insert those as actions. Good question.
Awesome. I had another question from Juan. He says, does Lofty have a home valuation and market review for the website?
Yes, we do have a home valuation block as well as a pre-built home valuation page. Whenever you have a Lofty editable website, which is different based off of package, what comes built is a home valuation page where people can put in their address, whatever it is, and it'll automatically create that home valuation and gather their info for you. So we automatically create a page, and then you can add a home valuation tool to any page that you create as well.
Great. Thanks, John.
Awesome. Awesome. Good questions, guys. Alrighty, so this is an example of, hey, we want to add people to segments, add people to pipelines automatically. Then that means that, hey, they're going to be already over there. Great. Now, let's say that we want to then move people along in a process. We're going to use smart plans to automatically do that as well. Let's imagine we'll go back over here into our people tab. We've got 82 people here, and maybe let's go over here into our nurture. We've got 2,700 people in our nurture pipeline, right? These are people that we're working on. We're maybe sending them out some automated emails, but we're not getting responses from them. There's a reason why they're in nurture and not in the hot pipeline. Well, let's say that our friend Manny here response, or like they have a hashtag high interest. Their lead score is above 50 right now, right? Well, we want them to automatically be moved to a different pipeline. Well, we can do that automatically within our smart plans. So we can come back over here into marketing, jump down into smart plans. Let's add a new smart plan, do a standard plan. Same thing. This is where we would add all of our settings, but let's go ahead and just jump over here into triggers. So why would we want to move somebody from nurture to hot? Right? Probably they've contacted us, right? Maybe a last touch, something like that. Let's do communication. So we'll say, all right, they've emailed me. So let's say an email is received. As soon as they email me, guess what? We want them moved, but we want to get more specific than that. We can say, all right, let's say they email me and they have a pipeline of nurture, right? Okay, so anybody who's in the pipeline of nurture, they email me. That's the trigger. Then I can come back over here into actions and do the same thing we did previously, where we say, all right, let's change the pipeline to hot. Boom. And now you see how I'm setting up all these automations to automatically move people through my process. But we need to know what a segment is, what a pipeline is, what a view is, so that we can move people through each of those things. And what you'll notice is we've got change pipeline and we've got change segment. What we don't have is change view. Right? Because remember, changing views are more of like stacking filters on top of each other. They're that automatically updating dashboard, right? So people can move really quickly from view to view based off of the filters that you have. A thing that people do if they really like views, and that's what they typically use, is instead of change segment or change pipeline, they'll do change tag. Okay, so I can have a view that says, show me everybody who's been to the website, who I haven't emailed, and has a tag of hot or something like that. Then let's say that they don't email me, or it was a tag of cold, whatever it might be. Well, if part of the view is changing the tag, or we can even create a view that's just the tag, right? This is another way where Lofty is very customizable. We can say change tag, automatically add the tag of this, right? So smart plans are a great way to move people through those processes that we set up with our segments, our views, and our pipelines. Wilson?
Hey, John, do you have the ability to make your screen any bigger or zoom in a little bit? Do you? There's a few people in the chat saying that they're, I guess, having a hard time seeing it.
Oh yeah,
I don't know
definitely.
if it's maybe due to watching it on YouTube, but it's just been a couple people saying they're having a hard time seeing it. And
definitely.
then real quick, Juan asked a question about the evaluation and review for websites. He was just curious if that's can be used for his non-Lofty website. Like, I guess this one.
That's a good question. So the question would be then, all right, we've got a website somewhere else. Can we basically have the Lofty evaluation tool pumped into that website? What we do have the ability to do is you can iframe some things. So if you've got that page live in Lofty, you can potentially use an iframe to, put that Lofty page and frame it into a different website. You can do that similarly with most websites. We do have a widget tool that is basically pre-builds that iframe code for you, but that only does that for a listings page. So like say if you wanted the Lofty listings that you've got to show up on a different website, if you go into your website section and click on widget, we have that pre-built for you. Now, as far as building the iframe for a home valuation tool, I'm less familiar with that other than I know that it can be a possibility. However, it is difficult and won't be as functional, as elegant as just using the Lofty website. Any other questions from the group?
One quick question, and this is just a follow up, I think, from Reza earlier. She said, thank you for asking about the newsletter. So once the email is sent, does Lofty show metrics? I think you may have gone over that briefly, but just some of the.
Yeah, that's a good question. So we don't have a like a metric by the email that was sent out. However, we do have lots of metrics in our reporting section to see basically what I'm telling you is I can come in here and say, all right, everybody with a tag of receives newsletter, show me the emails that have been sent to them and their open rate, right? Stuff like that. We don't have a great like reporting section for, okay, show me the exact reporting of given email, right? But we do have the ability to filter, look at calls, emails, texts for specific groups of leads, again, based off of segment, based off of pipeline, based off of source, based off of tag. But the newsletter specifically, there's not a dashboard just for that.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, definitely. And that reporting tab is really functional. It uses lots of different filters to make sure that we're really getting detailed with what you want reporting on, including the email accountability section where we can see the trends of the different emails. How many emails are we sending out? How many are being opened? How many are being replied to? We can also filter down into the type of emails that we're sending out, like a manual mass email. So I have seen with other people that I've worked with where they're saying, you know what, I'm going to always send out given email, maybe it's your newsletter, right, Reza, as a manual mass email. You're not using that a whole lot. So that's a great way to then say, okay, if I'm only sending out newsletters as a manual mass email, then I know this reporting is specifically for my newsletter. Alrighty, guys, let's talk about now moving people through our process manually and how that looks. And let me also, before we leave our marketing tab with our smart plans, cover the rest of the marketing tab, because this is really where a lot of the Lofty goodies are. You guys might already know about our Lofty AI features. Those are listed up here at the top. We've got our automations here with our smart plans, home reports, and property alerts. We do have lead generation. So we've got a lead generation department over here at Lofty. You can just dive directly in here to our Lofty lead gen offerings and start creating ad campaigns, or even reach out directly to our team to have a consultation with them. All of that is under our lead generation, Lofty Blast, and brand awareness sections. The stuff that I really love too is these tools down here, including landing pages. So let me take you through a lead flow with a landing page and how that plays into our lead organization as well. Let's say that I want to create a landing page about a listing. All I have to do is come in here to landing pages, and I'll zoom in a little bit, guys. Go in here and create a landing page featuring a listing. All I do is click feature a listing. And then all I got to do is enter in the property address, and this will pull from my MLS like that, and click save. As soon as I click save, a landing page will be automatically created for me right here. Now, down here in Social Studio, this is where I can connect up to 6 of my social accounts, whether that be Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, all those kinds of things, right? Google My Business or Google Business Profile. I can connect all those things into Lofty, and then I can post my landing pages to all of them all at once, also using our Lofty AI tools. Okay, so let's go into a given landing page and go through that. So if I click here on this edit button, It'll open up my landing page here. Now I've got, okay, here's the listing. This is all the templated stuff. I can make changes here and there. But if I go over here to this gear icon, now I can say, all right, everybody who signs up via this landing page, what do I want to happen to them? Going back to what we've been talking about today, we can say, hey, everybody that comes in, give them this tag. Well, then guess what? That tag will then show up with our views, or we can create one of those smart plans and say, hey, everybody that signs up with a tag of blank, put them in this segment, put them in this pipeline. Again, automating that organization. Okay, so we can do that with our tags here. We can also come up here to the top right-hand corner and say post to social channels. As soon as we do that, our landing page is going to get kicked over here to our Social Studio section, and our Lofty AI Marketer will start giving us options for building out a post. Now, as soon as I click Post Now on this, it will go out to all of these that I have selected or all that I have connected, and I can also schedule my post. As far as lead generation goes, this is great, right? Because all I have to do is, boom, click landing page for this thing, for this listing, say, all right, everybody who signs up via this listing gets this tag. Everybody who signs up via this tag gets put into the hot pipeline. I'm now going to post this onto my social channels. People are going to sign up and they're going to go exactly to the right spot. So everything kind of weaves together in a really cool way. Now let's return back to our People tab as we wrap up today. Within our People tab, I can really use all of what we're talking about to use like smart plans, drip campaigns, reach out to people and move them along in my pipeline process. So something I recommend to a lot of people is going in here to our new leads pipeline, for instance, saying, okay, we've got 24 leads in here. All I've got to do in Lofty is come over to this caret, select all those 24 leads. I've shown this menu a couple times, but we can then send a mass email, a mass text, or use our more button to do a bunch of different things, including adding a smart plan. So if I do add smart plan right here, guess what? Now I've got a ton of my pre-built smart plans, whether it be a drip campaign or something else, where then I can say, all right, send everybody in our new leads pipeline this smart plan. I click start, they'll start out on the journey, and this one receiving an auto email, waiting 3 days, and then conditionally receiving 1 of 2 auto emails as a follow-up. Now, moving them through this process, I can now say, all right, they're in the new leads pipeline. I've applied the smart plan. Now let's go ahead and change their pipeline. All right. So now I'm going to change them from our new leads pipeline to attempting contact. And it's that easy. I click save. They move from new leads to attempting contact. And that's how I keep up with my process. Now I can come over to attempting contact. I can use my filters, I can use my views to get down even further into what's going on in this attempting contact stage. Why aren't these people engaging? Where are they in my process? I can filter that down further and further and further, and then grab, or in this case, grab my 2,800 leads and send them a mass email like this and say, hey, everybody, do this, do that. Hey, check this out, use variables, etc. to engage with them. And then guess what? We can come over here more and then change all of their pipeline, move them from attempting contact into contacted working. So as you're getting leads, you can use these pipelines to just keep people moving through your process using our tools to engage with them, right? And really, guys, the last thing that I would encourage you to do is use all of these tools in conjunction with one another. Think about how they can interact. Whenever I create a landing page, use that tag function to say, all right, everybody who signs up, give them this tag. With that tag, then move them over into this segment or this pipeline. And then everybody within that pipeline, I want to receive this smart plan, this drip campaign, and everything weaves together so beautifully that then my CRM is sort of managing itself. As soon as somebody sends me an email, it's automatically going to move them from pipeline to pipeline. And let me go ahead and actually finish answering the question about pinning our notes. But as I am, Wilson, the last couple things I wanted to cover before we hop off is how to use our engagement tab and what the difference is between engagements and smart plans, so that people are aware of that whenever they're doing the outreach. And then from there, I think we're just available for any questions as we close out.
Perfect. Yeah, there's a couple things that will be kind of quick that I think it'd be more valuable for these guys to just go through in the system. But go ahead and do your thing, and then we'll save those for the very end. Thanks, John.
Yeah, sounds good. Alrighty, whenever I'm creating a note, I'll go ahead and jump in here and put in, let's use the boat example again. This guy has a boat. As soon as I do that, I can go down here and select pin to top and add note. And then it'll stay up always at the top of the activities page right there. So even as other things happen, this note will always remain pinned to the top. Now, something that people do get confused on, and since we've got a little bit of extra time here, I'd love to cover is the difference between my engagement tab and my smart plans tab. My engagement tab is how I send out automatic emails, interactions with leads that include MLS data. So we'll have an IDX integration with your website that will then allow you to send out listings, right? And all of that's going to happen with an engagement, something like a property alert, a market snapshot, a market report, a home report. But our smart plans will be stuff that you can pre-build or that you can use that EXP is built for you to then interact with the leads, or as we've seen today, move them along in a given process. But those aren't going to necessarily need to include MLS data. Some of them can, but it's going to be far less frequent, far less likely. Smart plans and engagement, though, think of them both as outreach, right? Outreach, getting out to people. Smart plans and engagement are similar in that way, one including specifically MLS data and one not typically. Alrighty. Wilson, would you want to jump in with any questions or things that we want to go over?
Yep, let's do that. So things that I think would be useful to kind of go through while we're showing screen is earlier in the comment section or questions that were coming up, people asked about kind of like Help Center and live training. So just wanted to show how to access that portion of Lofty.
Yeah, definitely. So whenever I log into Lofty, I'm hit with my company dashboard. Up here at the top right-hand corner is my question mark, and this question mark will always be up there. This is where we can find our Help Center, our Learning Center, and our Get Training. You can see, of course, there's 8 tiles here, but those are the 3 that I highlight consistently and I think are the most helpful. Our Help Center, if we click on Help Center, I go back and forth between two different analogies for our Help Center. One is Lofty Google, which is like, hey, as soon as I know what I'm looking for, I'm typing it into Google, I'm getting a result. Also, another thing is, some people use it more, less like Google and more as like a car manual, where it's like, I'm really only going to pop this open whenever I need to figure out my windshield wipers, right? But in both instances, think of this as I know what I don't know. Right? It doesn't help me if I don't know what the term is to jump into my Help Center unless I want to scroll through, which is always an option. But this is great whenever I know, hey, I want to learn about smart plans, right? As soon as I know that term, I can just pop that into our Help Center and get a great list of articles, including frequently asked questions. Managing smart plans is a great article that has screenshots. Say, hey, this is how you get there. You click on marketing and then smart plans. So use the Help Center to your advantage. Learning Center right here. This is where you can find all of our recorded videos. So we host a new training about every hour. Down here at the bottom left-hand corner is where you can find our live training recordings, where we keep all of those housed. So if you're more of a 11 p.m. with a glass of wine kind of learner, is what I like to say, where you don't want to attend a live training during the day, but you would like to go back through some of the information maybe we talked about today, you can always hop into our Learning Center and you'll see all of these videos available. Videos about smart plans broken up here, admin training session recordings about setting up the CRM, and agent training session recordings about using it as a realtor. Now, if we come down here into the bottom right-hand corner, that's where we can hit Get Training. Get Training is where you can see all of the schedule for our live webinars. Ones like this, where it's a John or a Wilson going through a specific feature of Lofty. So this one, from listings to leads, I can sign up for Thursday at 7 a.m. or I can look at ones for Friday, sign up for them. They're over Zoom, a great opportunity for you to jump on and ask questions. Those are the 3 that I would highlight. We also have ways for you to ask a question right up here, chat with our support team. Our support team is available 8 to 8, 7 days a week, Eastern time. Got our phone number here, etc. This is where we can see all of our tickets. We can suggest a feature that we think would be good. Lofty does a new product update at right around every 2 weeks. So definitely jump in there and suggest one here and there. And then another great resource is our user community. If you click on user community, this will take you to our Facebook group where we've got, I think it's over 9,000 Lofty users sharing tips and tricks about the system. Other
Great,
things,
John.
yeah, is there anything else that we're seeing in the chat?
Yeah, one other thing I was going to see about you going through was, hang on one second, I got a little buried here in some of these questions. Someone did ask, can you send emails from your own branded email? I know that's a little ways back in some of the training, but that was a question I
No.
think we maybe missed.
Yeah, definitely. So, can I send emails from my own branded email? Within Lofty, two ways to send an email. There's through my integrated email. Think about that as a pre-existing one that like I'm using for my normal business. That's really easy to do. All we do is whenever we get our account, it will be within our guided setup, or we can come in here to personal integrations and then connect to Gmail. As soon as I click connect, it will have me select my Gmail account. I just put in my password. Boom, it's connected. Same thing with Outlook. And then if you use something else, this IMAP would be the way you connect it. And that way you can send emails through Lofty through your normal email. Now, that being said, we've seen a lot today where we can select 2,000 leads at a time and send them an email. What we don't want to do as an organization is put you at risk for crashing your email, you getting flagged by Gmail for sending out too many at a time, something like that. So whenever you send out a mass email, we're going to be doing that with a sending email, which is listed here. Sending email is a email sender only, not an inbox, just a sender that we automatically create for you in Lofty, where now I send out an email to 2,000 people. It's going to go out through this, but any responses will be automatically forwarded to that integrated email that you had earlier, right? So it doesn't make it so you've got to manage a whole nother email, do all this other stuff, right? It's just a convenience and a protection. Now, let's say I want to customize this sending email and not use the one that Lofty gives me. All I have to do is come in here and click manage. I can change the domain. I can change the front end. I can make it whatever I want. I can also change the email sending like name that appears whenever somebody receives an email from me. To answer the question, can I use my own branded email? Yes. I would always integrate your normal email that you use on a day-to-day basis into our integration section. Okay, that way you can send emails, receive emails, and all of it will sync into Lofty. And then if you want to get even more detailed, you can set up your sending email to look exactly the way you want it as well.
The only other thing I was going to say, John, do you mind doing just a quick kind of walkthrough on integrations? I don't think we touched on that.
Yeah, definitely. So within our personal settings, so we're in settings and then under personal, there will be a tab here where then you can see other options to look at other settings. But personal integrations, we've got a list of a bunch of great integrations here. Some of them are really simple and impactful, like integrating my Gmail or my Outlook. Others are things that you probably or you might use, something like Brokerment, BombBomb, Dotloop, etc. Now, whenever I integrate those things, they have different capabilities based on the integration. Something like Dotloop, of course, will have different functionality than Gmail, right? So we do have articles whenever you highlight this little question mark, or it'll say, okay, here's the steps for setting up Zapier, or hey, I've got a question about the Dotloop integration. I can always go into my help center and type in Dotloop, and it'll tell me exactly what the integration does and how to set it up. But this big blue connect button is always where you want to go first. Also, down here at the very bottom, we've got this API key. So if you're using something that you don't see on this list here, the great thing is we've got an open API. You can go to that company, that organization, that software, say, hey, I've got Lofty. It's an open API. Here's my API key. How do we set up an integration? So Lofty can really do a lot with that API key if you're not seeing something that you use in this integration section. Any questions on that or other things we want to go over, guys?
I don't know if there's any like product related questions, just some more questions within the chat around the CRM of choice, just general questions about what's included, what's not. So,
Okay, definitely.
yeah, I think from a product perspective, I believe, I don't know if this came up earlier, but someone did just barely ask about Canva. I think we're doing a Canva integration. I think I heard from Phil internally that may be slotted for like Q3, Q4 this year. We're looking
Okay,
to add
great.
a Canva integration. So that K Lackey. And then just to address some of the questions that are there rather than typing back, Marcus asked, how long does it take for the account to become active once the choice has been made? I'm pretty sure, DeMarcus, this is pretty quick. I know there's some more people on the Lofty side on the technical team. I'm not quite as technical, that have a little more understanding of this, but I believe that that's been some of the process of building this out, is to make sure that turning on the account, flipping the switch and turning on to activate it is going to be pretty smooth and quick for agents coming into Lofty. I don't have like an exact time frame for you, but we may have more on that in the upcoming weeks as it gets closer for you guys. And then as far as, do you have anyone in house that we can hire to set it all up? The initial setup as a EXP agent should be pretty smooth. If there's more customization or things like that are needed, that could possibly take more, as far as just more time and expense wise, we can get you information around paid services if you want more customization or things set up for you. But the goal with EXP agents is that you should be able to come in quickly, as DeMarcus asked, and then depending on what level of your account you're going to have set up with the website and things like that, we want that to be easy and turnkey for agents from EXP side. So when it comes to more customization and things like that, we can give you options that are on the table for you. So, and someone asked about. Someone asked about SkySlope, excuse me. I believe SkySlope is an integration already. I'm like 100% sure. I think it's pretty common one that's asked on the EXP side. So we do integrate with SkySlope. But what were you going to say, John?
No, that's all good stuff. The only thing I was going to say is with the Canva integration, we do have included within Lofty our design center, which is under marketing and tools, where you can also, any designs that you've created, you can upload designs directly from your hard drive. You can also use some pre-built designs or edit designs directly within Lofty. And then you can use these for what we've talked about with drip campaigns or mass emails, and add variables to the designs, etc. So the design center is pretty robust. And if you're currently using Canva and still waiting on that integration, uploading designs is very simple.
No, it's great. Great thing to add in there. I appreciate that, John. I think that's pretty much all the questions, and we're pretty much wrapped up on time. I do appreciate all the agents that joined today. You guys had a lot of activity within the chat. I hope you guys got a lot out of what John shared. John's fantastic. John, I really appreciate you joining me today. And I don't think just plan on. The other thing I would add is these will be recorded. They will be available for you guys if you want to reference them later on the EXP side. They should have access to those probably within World or somewhere else. So just reach out to your EXP member there and get that information. We will continue to be doing trainings with you guys at 12 p.m. Central Standard Time on Mondays and Wednesdays for the next few weeks. So appreciate you joining. Do appreciate all the time that you gave to us today. And we were looking forward to the partnership that we're continue to have with EXP over here at Lofty. Thank you, John.
Yeah, thank you everybody for having me.
All right, guys, have a good day. Thanks.